Coco Gauff raises her voice for ball kids forced to handle sweaty towels from players during tennis matches. Coco Gauff is not in favor of ball kids having to touch players' sweaty towels. She said she would rather have the kids carry baskets to the players. Tennis reporter Blair Henley recently appeared on former player Kim Clijsters' podcast called Love All with Kim Clijsters. Both Henley and Clijsters were of the opinion that ball kids should still bring the towels to the players, as it is the only time that they get to interact with players. However, world number 4 Gauff reacted to this segment in the comments section of the Instagram clip, writing, "I saw a tournament where they put the towels in baskets and brought the baskets to the players. I feel like that will be a good option. But I agree with not wanting ball kids to touch sweaty towels. I wouldn't want to either. I always felt bad giving them my sweaty towels. She added. The practice of ball kids carrying sweaty towels to players was stopped in 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, due to hygiene concerns. With the introduction of the automated shot clock rule, several players, including world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz, complained that they were rushed after points, as they had to fetch the towels themselves. The debate has been there for many years. In 2018, sports journalist John Wertheim tweeted, "We are going to look back at ball kids handling the effluvia-soaked towels of millionaire pro athletes, much as we cringingly recall child labor in the textile mills, factories and mines during the Industrial Revolution." Coco Gauff's challenging draw at Indian Wells. Coco Gauff has 3 WTA 1000 titles. However, the American has yet to win the BNP Paribas Open. She has an 11-5 record at Indian Wells in 5 appearances. As she continues to struggle with her serve this season, Gauff would have to play out of her skin to win the upcoming WTA 1000 tournament. The 4th seed gets a bye in the first round and could play Bianca Andreescu in the round of 64. In the 3rd round, the 2-time Grand Slam winner could face one of Alex Ila, Diana Yastremska, and Zhang Shuai. Gauff is likely to run into Linda Noskova, Diana Schneider, Sorana Cîrstea, or Beatriz Haddad Maia in the 4th round. If she reaches the quarterfinals, the 21-year-old might face one of Jasmine Paolini, Ekaterina Alexandrova, Clara Tauson, or Paula Badosa. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, Amanda Anisimova, Victoria Mboko, Naomi Osaka, or Iva Jovic are likely to challenge Gauff in the semifinals. If the American makes it to the title clash, she could face Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina, Jessica Pegula, Mira Andreeva, or Elena Svitolina. Breaking the silence when sweat meets advocacy. In the polished world of professional tennis, where every rally, serve, and set is choreographed to near perfection, there often lies a subtler backdrop of unexamined tradition. For many spectators, ball kids lining the court, sprinting for stray balls or passing fresh ones to players between points, are simply part of the rhythm of the match. But beneath that rhythm are moments that have always happened without much thought: ball kids handling players' towels, sometimes drenched with sweat, close contact moisture, and all of the physical residue that comes with elite effort. For generations, this has been accepted practice. For many fans, it's just another part of the spectacle. For the young volunteers, usually eager, enthusiastic teens thrilled to be close to the game they love, it's an assigned duty. But for Gauff, who has grown up in tennis itself, this tradition has raised a different kind of question. Should we be asking more about what we expect from the kids who help make the show run? A voice beyond the scoreboard. When news broke that ball kids are again being required to touch sweaty towels during matches, Gauff didn't stay silent. Her message wasn't about change for change's sake. It was about dignity and respect for those who often go unnoticed, yet are integral to the experience of the sport. "I'm not in favor of ball kids having to touch players' sweaty towels," she said, a simple yet striking position from someone still actively competing at the highest level of the game. Her voice matters not only because of her achievements, she's world-ranked at the top of women's tennis and a role model for young athletes, but because she speaks from experience, as a former ball kid herself, as someone who has lived through the sports culture, and as a young leader unafraid to question old ways. Imagine a 6-year-old watching the 2026 Australian Open or Indian Wells, eyes shining as players thunder across the court. Behind those players are young teens running back and forth, fetching balls, helping keep the match on schedule. They do it with pride. They do it with energy. But every time they grasp a towel that has been wiped across a professional's sweat, they are handed more than a cloth. They are handed a tradition many had never thought to challenge. Gauff wants that to change. Why it matters? Health, respect, and awareness. To many outside tennis, this may sound trivial. But there are important elements to unpack. 1. Health and hygiene. Towels drenched with sweat are different from the light dampness of a damp shirt in a gym. They carry concentrated moisture and, if used repeatedly over a long match, bacteria and body fluids. Expecting kids to handle this hundreds of times without protective gear raises real questions about whether tradition should outweigh common sense. 2. Respect for volunteers. Ball kids are volunteers, often unpaid, always young, and doing their best to support one of the world's most iconic sports. Gauff's concern is rooted in respect. If we value fairness and well-being for players and fans alike, shouldn't that also extend to those helping make the game possible? 3. The power of advocacy from within. There's a difference between criticism from outside observers and insight from someone who has lived the life of an athlete. Gauff's voice bridges both. She understands tennis deeply, and she also sees its gaps clearly. That makes her advocacy influential. The tradition under scrutiny. You don't have to dig too deeply into tennis history to find moments when towel handling by ball kids has been a topic of debate. During the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, some tournaments banned ball kids from touching towels altogether and introduced rack systems instead, a change accepted with applause by health-conscious fans and critics. Some tournaments, like the Next Gen Finals, experimented with towel racks behind courts, removing ball kids from the tradition entirely. Critics and fans on social media have debated whether towel duties are outdated or unnecessary, calling them gross or old-fashioned, and suggesting players should retrieve their own towels like adults. Yet, after the pandemic restrictions relaxed, traditional towel duties returned in many events, and with them, the expectation that ball kids pick up right where they left off. Gauff's comments therefore come at a moment of reflection. This isn't just about towels anymore. It's about who gets seen, heard, and taken care of in the sport. A simple question with big implications. When Gauff asks whether ball kids should be handling sweaty towels, she's really asking a broader, more powerful question. Why do we accept something uncomfortable just because it's always been done that way? That's a question not just for tennis, but for every tradition in sports and life.